I thought I had a few queries on this conversion from 4 to 5 speed, so I thought I'd try and clarify a few of the queries that I've had. Now, first of all, this is the 4-speed toggle chain, which goes right the way through the axle and out the other side. Now, clearly by the design, it screws in here. There's no threaded part at all. There's no threaded part for the axle key. So you have an axle key still in a 4-speed somewhere, let's say, somewhere around here. And then later, when you come to the primary sun pinion, which is shown in the video, there's a similar type of key underneath there which holds the 2 sun pinions in. And that is what the nail will push against. So this one here, on some models, I believe on some later choppers, there's a threaded piece in there. Now there's no threaded area in any other 4-speed, and on the early 5-speed there was no threaded one in there either. So it was basically a nail, a very finely machined nail that was used to push in. Now I've just modified a nail here. It's pretty good. I think it's 75mm or something like that. And that'll just push against it. Some of them had a thread, some didn't. Doesn't really matter. As long as you can push against it, that's fine. Right, so the other reason why it's a good idea to do this conversion is because this is obviously quite delicate, and it's pulling not only against the spring here, which is a normal kind of 3-speed setup, but the strong spring from the sun pinions needs to be pulled this way. So when you get into 4th gear, which is when you engage that sun pinion, that's why it's such an effort to pull it all over. So having that using a push rod basically relieves this side, allows you to screw in the 3-speed, and it just makes the shift in this side much smoother, and you just use the other lever to push in and pull out, which is, you know, I think will be pretty straightforward and not too bad. Now there's a good reason, another good reason to convert to a 5-speed is because none of this is threaded into the axle for the 3-speed. If this comes apart or breaks and this comes off and you lose it, which can happen, you can often be left with no gears whatsoever. So you can be in the middle of nowhere and you've got no gears because you've got nothing this side that's threaded in to pull the clutch. So by converting it, because you've got the 3-speed set up there, if the worst did happen and this side went kaput, you're still always going to have 3 gears. So to me it makes perfect sense to do the conversion, even though you've got 2 levers now. Now the other alternative is you can do an S5-2 conversion, which does away with that and effectively reverses the, instead of pushing in, you basically, the spring's reversed so that you're having to pull it out of the engaged gear. And that's the S5-2 version. The S5-1 was similar, but it wasn't as reliable. So you can do that. If you get the axle, you can do that. And you basically have 2 toggle chains similar to that on either side instead of this bell crank. Now that might be more practical for some people. There is S5-2 stuff I've seen for sale. I've seen complete hubs for sale on eBay for about £100. All you have to do is take the internals out and slip it into your 4-speed. It'll do the same thing and you won't have to hunt one of these down. But personally I prefer this setup. Just it's simple as well, and I think it works. You know, as long as you can find that at a reasonable price, it works. There is another method, I can't pronounce his name, Jack Lowas or something like that, where he basically converts some parts to make a kind of type of bell crank arrangement and there is some instructions somewhere on the internet for that. I'll see if I can hunt it down and put it in the link. So there is other alternatives if you can't find a bell crank at a reasonable price, because you're probably going to end up buying them from America. I mean, I paid about £45 for mine, got lucky. So, you know, there is options out there. But to me it makes perfect sense, because you get a much more reliable hub and you don't have this problem with this big long pull chain, and which can be tricky to set up and get, you know, keep in gear. You know, there's times I've been on a steep hill, I thought I had it set up right and I didn't, and it just slipped out of gear, and I'm like, bloody hell. So you know, I do know how to set it up right so it doesn't do that, but you end up going back to it every few months, I find, just very fine adjustments. Whereas I think with this setup, so long as I keep the tension right on the cable, I think it'll be a lot better. So that's that. Hopefully that's explained some other things. The other thing I would show you is this. Now, as you know, on HSA 345, which is from an S5-2 hub, I believe, or an S5-1, can't remember, I had to basically drill out the primary sun pinning because it wasn't quite as wide internally. So rather than doing a nasty drill like I did, this is a reamer, just blades. In this particular one, it goes out to 11.9mm on maximum. So you could just persevere with this, just keep going, and it'll probably eventually get there if it's sharp enough. So I got mine anchor tools, and that's it there. That's the size there. But you know, there's plenty of them on eBay as well. So that's that. Right.